Hello, welcome to this your channel of the better Eurofan. That's me. Czechia is getting more confident with each participation in the contest. A proof of that was the live show offered to us by the guys of We Are Dummy in the last edition, which had a very good reception despite not achieving a very high position in the final ranking. Now we will see to the next contestants with have the task of representing the Czech Republic from now on Czechia on the main stage of Liverpool. Here we go. For today's episode, I'm going to review the Czech entry for Eurovision 2023, which will be represented by group Vesna with the song My Sister's Crown. We start by taking a look to the biography and career of this girl band that will head to the contest for the Central European country. Vesna is a folk pop girl group coming from the Czech capital, Prague. They have their beginnings around 2016, with the concept of creating a band that celebrates feminism and Slavic sisterhood. The group's name, in fact, takes its name from a deity of Slavic mythology, which is very close to Persephone in the Greek mythology. And also, Vesna means spring in many of the Slavic languages, including Russian, Ukrainian, Bulgarian, and of course, Czech. They have many members during their career as a band. Currently, they are formed by Czech lead vocalist Patrice Fuchsová, Czech violinist and vocalist Bara Jurankova, Czech drummer and vocalist Markéta Mushatková, Slovak bassist Teresa Shepková, Bulgarian rapper Danita Yankova, and Russian pianist Olesia Uchebovskaya. It's remarkable in this case that many countries that are accepting the contest are represented in some way this year. Slovakia is probably the most outstanding one, as it has been absent for more than a decade. Bulgaria was forced to withdraw for financial issues, and Russia, as we know, has been banned from the contest due to the ongoing warfare with Ukraine. They have 2 studio albums released to date, with songs composed mostly in Czech, although they have also released singles in English and Russian. They have had a modest success in the Czech musical scene, but now they will have a great opportunity to showcase their music and art to the rest of Europe. Let's check it out in detail. Repeating the same strategy in previous editions, the Czech public broadcaster will use once again their national final Eurovision Song Contest on its 5th edition. For this, a submission period was open for Czech artists and songwriters to send their proposals between early November and early December of last year. For solo performers, Czech citizenship was required, while for groups, Czech citizenship was required for one of the vocalists at least. On the other hand, some writers from any nationality could send proposals. By the deadline, it was known that more than 170 proposals were received, with a majority of Czech songwriters. Then later, the broadcaster would review all the proposals received to pick the 5 artists that will compete in the national final. And talking about the national final itself, there was an important change this time. In previous editions, pre-recorded shows were used, but this time they have decided to produce a live show, being the first time they do it in 15 years. The selected artists were announced in mid-January, being Vesna among them, while the songs were officially released live in the final show that was broadcasted later that month. All participating artists also released their official music videos that same day of the final show, and particularly Vesna's proposal went viral very quickly, becoming the big favorites to win the national final. Once all the artists have performed their proposals live, the voting window was open through the official Eurovision app for the public to choose their favorite, closing it just a week later. The winner will be determined with the combination of the votes of the international public with the 70% of the weight and the Czech public with the remaining 30%. The following day after the closure of the voting process, another show was organized to reveal the results, and then it will be known who was the chosen one to represent Czechia on British soil. Fulfilling all the predictions, the girls from Vesna went on to be the absolute favorites from both the international national and Czech public, winning the national final without any doubt with a wide margin, and gaining subsequently the ticket to Liverpool. However, the official announcement was not that quick as normally expected, and that was because there was some controversy for both the interpretation of the song and the fact of having a Russian member in the band, taking into account the current developments with the war between Russia and Ukraine. In this matter, there were many messages from many people in social media, especially from Ukrainians, citing dissatisfaction and anger for the song's choice, considering as a part of the Russian propaganda, therefore having a political message, and even there were rumors that the band could be disqualified. With this background, the controversy was served for a possible Eurodrama, especially when the hours and days were passing by, and there was no official confirmation of the participation of Vesna as the Czech representatives. Finally, 3 days after the reveal of the results, the European Broadcasting Union confirmed them as full-fledged participants, although there will be the questions on what really happened to have such delay in the announcement. It's an indirectly direct statement about the warfare on Ukraine. Now here comes the analysis according to what they have presented in their proposal. The melody blends folk and pop, a mixture of tradition and modernity as seen before in proposals from other Slavic countries on the contest. In the vocals, Patrice, Vera and Tanita sing together throughout all the song, while Tanita makes a short declaiming in the second verse. Talking about the lyrics, there are many things to remark. First of all, is written in 4 languages: English, Czech, Ukrainian and Bulgarian. It brings a lot of attention because it's the first time that Czechia sends a song with such diversity in terms of languages. In one hand, the Czech language appears for the second time, being the first one on the year that the country debuted at the contest. And in the other hand, there is Ukrainian and Bulgarian, remarking that it's the first country that performs a song in these Slavic languages apart from Ukraine and Bulgaria respectively. They wanted to incorporate them in an effort to representing the sisterhood between the Slavic countries of all Europe. About the songwriting, it was written by Patrice and Tanita together with the Ukrainian composer Katerina Vachenko. Patrice talks about the songwriting process in this way. It was specifically created for Eurovision. With that in mind, I didn't want to write only about personal things, but about something that concerns us all. The inspiration was our band, in which 6 personalities with different abilities and opinions work together, because we respect and support each other, and it's amazing to play together. The band also have commented that they decided to make it the artistic choice of the song, to give tribute to Ukraine during these difficult times, and from there the use of the Ukrainian in the lyrics. Reading the lyrics in detail, previously translated of course, it talks metaphorically of this Slavic sister, which is Ukraine in this case, as a brave, wise and empowered woman that does not want to be neither manipulated nor subdued by anyone, and at the same time it expresses solidarity and support from the Slavic sisters, namely the remaining Slavic countries. The crown in this case has a very important meaning, as they have commented, as it represents sovereignty, both the individual and the national, representing a core principle of the society. In this sense, a dignified and independent life is founded on the ability to make decisions about our own lives, and any threat to that sovereignty is apparent in a crown. Evidently, the message of the song is a statement against the war, and also an explicit support for Ukraine in its legitimate right to being an independent, sovereign and peaceful nation. Before detaching the official music video, I have to say there are 2 versions. The first one, originally released by the band in their official YouTube channel, includes a spoken introduction at the beginning, closed captions through all the song and the credits in the end. The second one, released by Eurovision in their official YouTube channel, it's a shorter version where the introduction, the closed captions and the credits were excluded, keeping the same plot. The first and original version is the one I'm going to analyze up next. The music video begins with a short tale, in which a girl with a traditional Slavic costume is going to a castle. The tale that is told by a woman says like this: once upon a time in a Slavic kingdom, there was love and sisterhood, until one day shadows crept in and everything was forgotten. Right at the end of the short tale, the girl has had opened the door of the castle, which was completely attacked. Listening to this tale, you can obviously understand the comparison with what is happening today. Russia and Ukraine, which were very close a few years ago, now are away from each other and engaged in a war. The scene changes and the song starts with a Prologue performing Czech, while there are some first shots of Olesia sitting in a large living room, and Tanita, who is playing with ties in a room, together with alternate shots of 4 men totally dressed in purple, with their lips and their hair partially dyed in purple as well, each one of them with a pair of purple pipes. In another scene, Patrice is singing and performing the first verse of the song in English, moving around and doing gestures like she is set tall or a marionette. Just after finishing the first verse, she is seen with 2 of the purple men, holding her with one of the pipes by her nape, looking like she was dead. I can understand this scene as a quiet figure allegory of the civil victims caused by the Russian army. In the chorus performed in Ukrainian, the shots are focused again in Olesia, which is still on the large living room, and you can see there's a bowl with leather cereal with a red liquid instead of milk. One of the purple men is sitting in front of her, takes one of the many spoons around the bowl to take a tablespoon of the food that is in the bowl. There is the coincidence that the tablespoon he takes has the letters forming the word blah, and the man fixes Olesia with this tablespoon while she looks pleasant after tasting the food. The meaning behind this scene is quite clear. This will be the newspaper media in Russia, especially the ones supported by the government, reporting news hiding the truth about the special military operation, as they describe and justify the warfare in Ukraine. This will be letters written with blood, having a special significance as she is Russian. Quite explicit, don't you think? In the second verse, the scene changes and Tanita is seen performing the declaim part in Bulgarian. She is seen doing a Thai scullion, but then one of the purple men take it down with his fingers. Seeing this way, it comes to my mind the great amount of infrastructures and buildings destroyed by the attacks of the Russian army. Patrice keeps performing the second part of the second verse in English, while shots are seen of Teresa rocking in a horse toy and Marketa playing with a teddy bear. There is a shot briefly seen with 2 of the purple men with 2 big screens in their heads, and they are later seen jiggling with the screens, while Teresa and Marketa are watching them with dumb faces. Another strong meaning behind this scene. This will be the audiovisual media in Russia, mostly the public broadcasters, showing a political propaganda and a post-truth speech, hiding what is really happening. In the second chorus, the 4 purple men are seen trying to subdue or even choke Patrice with the purple pies around her neck, but she eventually sets herself free from the pies, pushing them away, and then you realize the pies are the allegory to the rifles. The scene changes once again, where Bara is seen sitting in front of the mirror, looking at herself and doing funny faces. There is a moment when she is putting on a red lipstick, where the mirror gets transformed, creating an effect like one of the purple men is trying to get out of the mirror and reach out at her. In fact, there is a close-up of the man doing a terrifying face to scare her, and he achieves his goal, as the expression in her face changes, looking terrified and spreading the lipstick by all over the face. During the bridge, 2 particular scenes are seen. In the first one, Bara has a very mournful expression, and almost all her face is covered with red lipstick. From my point of view, together with the previous shots, it represents the panic and the terror suffered by the victims of the attacks from the Russian army, and in some cases being themselves with the body stained in blood. Their own and from other victims. And in the other hand, the purple men are doing moves with the purple pies in an enclosed place, just like with the soldiers and uncovering their tongues to use them. By the last chorus, the next scene features all the girls sitting in a sort of counter with a large crystal in front of them. Are they positioned to be executed? It's a possible interpretation, but linking it with the previous scene is hard to think on anything else. Towards the end of the music video, some of the girls are in one of the backyards of the castle, spinning around in circles with the purple men, holding themselves with the purple pipes. It looks like the representation of the Russian army soldiers, chasing the people to subdue and kidnap them. Everything on this music video has a very deep meaning. Nothing has been overlooked, all with the goal of keeping you glued to the screen all the time. The performance finishes with a close-up of the purple man with the purple pies in a resting position. Making a summary of all the comments, the Czech entry for this year is totally audacious and totally transgressive. It's really surprising in this case the choice of this proposal, as it transmits rawness and a good dosage of reality in a truly artistic way, but at the same time it will intensify the eternal discussion on whether songs with an indirectly political background should be allowed to participate in the contest. However, it's demonstrated that some proposals with some political or protest message are well received in the audience, achieving high positions in the final ranking or even winning the competition. Recalling the staging in the national final, the performance was focused on them performing the song at the side of the stage, while Olesia, Marketa and Teresa were playing their musical instruments. Patrice, Vara and Tanita are the lead vocalists, moving around the stage frequently and jiggling with the rhythm of the music. Although the live performance was quite dry, for me it lacked impact. I think that the stage setting and the absence of visual graphics did not help too much. But despite of it, their performance was pretty good. For the staging in Liverpool, the expectations are really high, taking into account the proposal is loaded with symbolism and it will not leave anyone indifferent. For sure, they will incorporate most of the aesthetic seen in the music video, both in the costumes and the visual graphics, looking to give a huge impact and make a clear and strong statement. We will see how this proposal evolves from here until next May. And you, what do you think about the Czech entry for this year? Come on and leave your comments down below. I'm sure the discussion will be really interesting. And this is it for today's episode. Before I finish, as usual, I invite you to like this video, subscribe to my channel, enable notifications for more content like this one, and also look at me and my social media. Take care and see you in the next episode. Bye bye.